E2 crew, how are you today? I'm Alex from E2 Language. If you can see me and hear me, please say hello in the chat box. Thank you, everybody doing it now. I'm looking at the chat box here on Zoom via e2language.com. We're also on YouTube, so hello to you guys there. Wonderful. How's everybody going? Let's have a quick chat before we get started. Hello, Mukta, Maputi. All right, good job. Bilal, Muskan, hi, lots of new names. Are there some new students here today? Let me know. Nice to meet you too. Now, volume, how's my volume? Sometimes it can be your end. Make sure that it's turned up. Hi, Camilo. Hey, guys. Okay, sounds good. So welcome to this class. This is a sample speaking class. It's a short 30-minute session. Our live classes are usually 1 or 1.5 hours. So consider this a taste of an E2 live class session. If you have any technical problems with audio or the video, sometimes just leave the Zoom meeting, come back in, and it will fix itself up. Let's get started. During the session, just use the chat box to communicate with me and your classmates. And let's get going. So in this free sample class, by the way, if you're on Zoom, please check your chat box settings and say hello to all panelists and attendees. That means everybody can see your messages. This is the welcome part of the lesson. We're going to do IELTS speaking practice. I'm going to show you 6 ways to boost your score. I'll give you a free PDF at the end of this session, both here on Zoom and also on YouTube. And it's going to take 30 minutes. Okay, those of you on YouTube, next time go to e2language.com, sign up for free here, and you can join sessions like this every week for free, like lots of people here. This is our live class schedule. Grab a screenshot if you haven't already got one. This shows you everything that's coming up this week at E2 Language. So we are here the beginning of Monday in our free sample class. This is free. After this class, we have a new member welcome. So if you want to know all about E2 Language, how to take tutorials, how to join other classes, come to the new member welcome. And then all week we have 1, 2, sometimes 4 classes per day, including 2 full speaking classes and a new grammar for IELTS session as well. We also have writing classes all weekend. So there is lots to do. But today we are all about speaking. IELTS speaking, and we are going to talk about the basics to begin with. So first of all, tell me, how many minutes is the IELTS speaking test? How many parts are there? Dorothy, good on you. You know your stuff. Nicely done. So it is 11 to 14. The examiner controls the time. Minimum 11, maximum 14. And you got it. There are 3 parts to the test, part 1, 2, and 3. Which part is your favorite? The first part. Yeah, first part's kind of fun. It's just small talk. You probably have those conversations pretty regularly. And obviously it's one-on-one with an examiner. You probably know that. If you're doing IELTS indicator or IELTS on the computer, it is still one-on-one with an examiner, and the examiner gives you your score. Okay, part 1 is the personal questions section. This is where you get pretty easy personal questions. Part 2, what happens here? Thank you, everyone. You get a cue card and you have to talk for how many minutes? You got it, 2 minutes to talk. That's right. Part 3 is a discussion, and this is what we're going to focus on today. Part 3, discussion. I don't know if anybody said that was their favorite part. It's a little more challenging because the questions are not so personal. Now, in terms of scoring, the examiner actually gives you 4 separate scores. So you get a score for fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and a separate score for pronunciation. Can you tell me, what do you need to do to get a good score in fluency and coherence? How about my E2 regulars here? You should know this pretty well. What's the examiner thinking about? Good. Rajni is asking about why do I get 6.5 in speaking? Just ask me at the end. I'll come back to that. Yeah, good job, guys. So this is about hesitation, not too much hesitation. It's about fluency, definitely. So let's have a look at this section. I'll put them all up, but we'll focus on fluency and coherence. The examiner, we're thinking here about band 7. The examiner wants to see that you can speak without noticeable effort. Okay, so band 7 says speaks without noticeable effort. And then the more effort, I guess the lower the score here. Also a range of connectives and discourse markers. Yatin and a couple of others asking, what is coherence? Think of that like organization and connection. So are your thoughts organized, and are you using connectives? Things like, on the one hand, as well as that, besides this, having said that, that type of language. And also topic development comes into this part as well. So if you're asked the question, can you extend on that question? Can you explain? Can you give examples and so on? Vocab, grammar, pronunciation, just grab a screenshot of this. Inside your course on E2, there's a video all about the criteria, so be sure to check that out. We won't go through it all in detail now. Now, in our real speaking classes, so there are 2 coming up this week. It's a repeated class this week, actually, so it depends on your time zone. Have a look at the calendar, choose the most appropriate one to you. In our regular classes, we review all the E2 speaking methods for part 1, part 2, and 3. We have really effective methods. So methods to improve your fluency, methods to improve coherence, grammar, vocab. You also work on vocab and grammar in the sessions, and you practice speaking, of course. So today, this is a little taste of an E2 speaking class. Let's work on IELTS speaking part 3. A little bit later, I will unmute some of you if you want to practice with me. So if you want to be a volunteer, just check that you have a microphone plugged in or that your computer has a microphone. So I'll just choose a couple of people later in the class. Okay, so let's talk about part 3 question types. What kinds of questions would you expect in part 3? So imagine you had to talk about a movie that you like. What would part 3 questions be related to? Yeah, exactly. They're related to your part 2 topic, but they're not really about you. So you might get questions exactly, Penaz, about the film industry. Very good. You might get something about entertainment in general, maybe celebrities, maybe social media and fame, that kind of thing. So it'll be connected to the topic, but a bit more abstract. Okay, and always the examiner, or every question in the test is designed to elicit or extract language from you. Okay, so the examiner's really not interested in your answer. Like if I said to you, what's your favorite sport? And the answer is basketball. That answer is not important to me. I want to hear you talk about likes and dislikes. So I'm interested in the function. Okay, so certain language, for example, in other words, we want to hear you perform functions. For example, the examiner may want you to describe something or list something. Okay, a question like this does that. What are the biggest challenges facing parents these days? So when I ask this question, I want to hear, how can you describe challenges, and also how can you organize things into a list? So you might say, well, one of the biggest problems is blah, 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 blah. As well as that, parents also blah, blah, blah. So I'm interested in all that language around your answer, not just your answer. So describing, listing, that's a function. Giving and justifying an opinion, that's another function. For example, a question like this: should governments do more to protect the environment? Why? So imagine I ask you this question: should governments do more to protect the environment? How would you start your answer? Just watching the chat box here on Zoom. Good. Yeah, Neetha says, of course. Yes, it's a good one. And then you're going to extend, of course. So definitely, absolutely. Hmm. Yeah, so you give your answer and you're going to stretch it out. And then you have to justify it. So you've got to tell me why or how, or give me an example. Good, Vaishnavi. The government plays a crucial role. Nice language. Okay, another function is speculating about the future. Often this will be the final question in your IELTS test, something about the future. For example, do you think it will be possible to save all endangered animals from extinction? So I'm asking you here to imagine some possible future. So your answer could be something like, oh, very nice. Matili says, sadly not. Kunima, not really. It might be possible from my point of view. The future is unpredictable. Good one, Jatinda. Okay, so I'm going to show you some questions here. These questions actually come from last week's speaking class. Was anybody in that one? That was with Graham on Friday. All right, a few people, cool. All right, so last week, our theme of the week, well, a lot of our classes, we looked at the environment, and Friday's class had an environment theme as well. Okay, and these were some of the part 3 questions from that class. So part 2 was describe an environmental problem. Part 3 went like this. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country? So here the examiner wants you to describe and list something. Second one, do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems? So what sort of question is this? What function? Yeah, exactly. Good one, Samir. So give your opinion, justify your opinion. Next one, what can individuals do to reduce their impact on the environment? So this could also be list and suggest. So give some solutions to a problem. Well done, Harleen. Lastly, do you think the situation with the environment will be better or worse in 50 years? What's that? Nicely done. So speculate about the future. Now on test day, it doesn't matter to you what all of this stuff is. You don't need to think about that. But as you're preparing for the test, it's really good to build up language around these functions so that you have a variety at your disposal. Okay, so let's focus on this one, describing and listing. We're going to look at some useful language here. Okay, what are some of the major environmental problems in your country? So imagine you're going to give me an answer. How would you frame that answer and link your ideas together? So imagine you're answering this question, but I'm not interested in the answer. I'm just interested in the language around the answer. Let's see. Lots of people giving me good answers, but I'm interested in the language around it. Linking words, yeah, so give me, very good. So firstly, I would say the main issue is, good, out of a host of issues, the biggest one is, there are many problems in my country. Yeah, very nice. The most significant and pressing problems, Samir, you're doing well today. To begin with, on top of that. Okay, so here are some of my ideas. Firstly, well, there are a lot of problems. Where should I begin? This gives me time to think of my answer. First of all, I think blah, blah is the biggest problem. I think blah, blah is the major concern. As well as that, so now and, as well as that, there's also, on top of that, let's see what else, thinking time, not only, but also. Not only do we have a problem with rubbish, but also pollution. All right, now let's listen to a sample answer. You're going to have a go at speaking in a moment, but I want to just play somebody's example here. All right, so as you're listening, the first time you listen, I just want you to catch what problems does the candidate mention. So you're going to hear me ask a question and a candidate answer. First thing to do, just tell me what problems does she mention. Okay, everybody ready? Let's listen. Let's talk about the environment. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country?
Oh, where should I begin? There are a lot, like every country. I guess that pollution is probably the biggest problem. As a result of development and industrialization over the last half a century, as well as, of course, the increase in cars and vehicles on the roads, air quality has declined dramatically. This is exacerbated too by deforestation and urban sprawl, reducing the number of trees and natural places. So I think those are the biggest concern my country is facing right now.
All right, nicely done in the chat box. Lots of people saying pollution, deforestation, and industrialization. Very nice. Okay. Let's talk. So let's listen this time. I'm just going to close the chat box for a second. Okay, so it's going to go quiet. I can see your answers, but you can't see other people's. Let's listen to her speak again. This time I want you to fill in the gaps here, and also going to start looking at her framing language and her linking language. All right, here we go. So listen again, fill the gaps. Let's talk about the environment. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country?
Oh, where should I begin? There are a lot, like every country. I guess that pollution is probably the biggest problem. As a result of development and industrialization over the last half a century, as well as, of course, the increase in cars and vehicles on the roads, air quality has declined dramatically. This is exacerbated too by deforestation and urban sprawl, reducing the number of trees and natural places. So I think those are the biggest concern my country is facing right now.
Excellent work. I'm seeing, oh, well done. A couple of you got number 3. That was a really tough question. Good job. So here are the answers. Let's talk about the environment. Sorry, double play. Probably the biggest problem, I think everyone got that, as a result of development, industrialization, the increase in cars and vehicles with an S, vehicles on the road. Air quality has declined dramatically. This is exacerbated. What does it mean? This is exacerbated. You can probably guess from the context, right? Well done, Basha. Ramandeep, opposite meaning. Yeah, and Dorothy, that's right. Make something worse. This is exacerbated, made worse by deforestation, urban sprawl. That's the spread of the city. Last one, I think those are the biggest concerns my country is facing right now. Exacerbated, Munir, means make worse. So if you have breathing problems and then you smoke, smoking will exacerbate your breathing problems, make them worse. All right, well done, those of you who got 3 and 4 correct there. So notice the problems, you guys already spotted this. The problems she mentioned were exactly pollution, air quality, deforestation, urban sprawl, and reduction in natural spaces. Okay, but her answer was not just pollution, air quality, deforestation. All around those answers is this beautiful language. This is what the examiner is really interested in. So her framing and linking language. Oh, where should I begin? There are a lot. I guess that probably the biggest problem as a result of, as well as this is exacerbated too. So I think those are the biggest concerns my country is facing right now. So a lot of meat in this answer. And obviously it's a very high level answer. Difficult to think like that in the moment, but here is a really good example of a candidate. So notice also the examiner's thinking about vocab. And in this case, we're looking at less common vocab or topic specific vocab. Which words do you think here would impress the examiner? Which words could you use when you practice in a minute? Yeah, urban sprawl. So that's a great collocation, urban sprawl. Exacerbated, yeah, try and use it. Good. And even things like pollution, development, industrialization, cars and vehicles on the road, air quality, declined dramatically, deforestation, all of those things are related to the environment, topic specific. All right, so it's over to you. Now for this one, if you want, you can record yourself. Otherwise, just practice talking to the computer or your phone or the air, whatever. I'm going to give you 45 seconds. I'm going to ask you the same question, and I just want you to answer, and if possible, try to use some of this language. Where should I begin? There are a lot of problems, first of all, and so on. Double points if you can use the word exacerbated. All right, so everybody ready? Get your recorder if you have it. Otherwise, you're just going to speak to the universe. Imagine that you're speaking to me in our exam. And let's do it. Okay, so here's the question. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country? Go. And time's up. How'd you go? Feeling confident? Feeling a bit weird talking to yourself? It's good practice though, I promise, especially if you can record yourself. All right, so let's look at the next question, then we'll do some practice together. Okay, question 2, do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems? What's some useful language we could use here? So I want to give my opinion, I want to justify my opinion. Yeah, very nice. According to me, I wouldn't use that. It's quite an unnatural expression, but definitely from my point of view, for me personally, I like that. From my perspective, in my opinion, yeah. So here are some examples. Definitely, absolutely not. Yes and no, it's hard to say, but well, on the one hand, but on the other hand, unfortunately, luckily, in my opinion, I think, I feel, I believe, from my point of view, I've heard or I've read something. Okay, grab a quick screenshot if you like. And let's listen to one more sample answer. Okay, so same speaker, same question. As you listen, catch what is her opinion. Here we go. Do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems?
Yes and no. They are definitely trying to tackle these issues. For instance, some areas of big cities are now closed off to cars. Cars are banned from the roads in the really built-up urban centers. But at the same time, the major polluters, the factories, are just pumping toxic gases out without restrictions. Obviously, the government is trying to balance economic, financial benefits with environmental concerns. Unfortunately, I think government, or governments really, and businesses too, the bottom line for them is money. Because of that, these huge problems aren't being addressed, not adequately anyway.
Big answer. What did she think? Is the government doing enough? Yeah, she did great. So yeah, she started with yes and no, but her impression was not enough. Yeah. Well done. Okay, so let's look at her, what she did say here. And notice how she developed her ideas really thoroughly here. So she gave an example. Yes and no, they're definitely trying to tackle these issues. For instance, some areas of big cities are now closed off to cars. Cars are banned from the roads in the really built up, really busy urban centres. She gives a contrast as well. Those regulars here from E2, you'll recognise some of the methods here. One of them is providing contrast. So, but at the same time, the major polluters, the factories, are just pumping toxic gases out without restrictions. She goes on to give a reason, because obviously the government's balancing stuff. Unfortunately, I think all governments and businesses too, the bottom line for them, the most important thing is money. Because of that, the reason these problems, these huge problems, aren't being addressed, not adequately anyway. And obviously here you can see some nice topic specific vocab and collocations, like tackle these issues, built up areas, built up urban centres, toxic gases, financial benefits, lots of really rich vocab in there. Yeah, the bottom line is money. The bottom line is fame. All right, your turn to practice this one. So same as before, you're just going to talk to the universe, 45 seconds maximum, vocab on the screen. I'm going to ask you the same question. This is just a warm up. All right, so here we go. Get ready to speak. Do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems? Okay, there we go. Feeling good? Feeling fluent? Feeling coherent? No? Okay, few happy faces. It is weird to talk to yourself. I agree, definitely. Now, by the way, the examples that I played, you can hear them again when you go into your course. So when you log in on e2language.com, click on the course on the left, go to the speaking button up the top, scroll here to part 3 discussion. And inside that tab, inside part 3 discussion, look at practice 1. So in this section, you'll hear that same speaker answering all of those questions. Okay, and there's a voice recorder in there, so you can record yourself and listen back. It's more fun that way than just speaking to yourself. All right, so over to you. I'm going to choose a couple of people. See how we go to speak. So if you have a microphone, if you want to share your answers with us, just say yes in the chat box, and I'm just going to choose randomly. Okay, Ishan, I saw you much earlier volunteering. So if you're ready, I'm going to unmute you in a moment. Everyone else, I'll try to come back and grab another person. So in our class on Friday, there's a bit more opportunity to speak, but we'll try today. So Ishan, I'm going to unmute you. Let's see how we go. Hello?
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
Ah, very well. Nice to speak to you.
So nice to speak to you. Same as here.
You ready to go? I'm going to ask you
Definitely.
2 questions. All right. First one, Ishan, what are some of the major environmental problems in your country?
Does my time starts now?
Yeah.
Well, in my country, I feel there are lots of environmental issues that we are facing currently. The reason behind these is the epidemic of population. One of the major environmental problems, firstly, is deforestation. Secondly, I would point out is lots of air pollution. And thirdly, is shortage of water and crisis.
Thank you. Do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems?
Well, in my opinion, I think government is trying its best, but yes, there's a lot of work the government needs to do. For instance, like for example, in China, the government has a one-child policy. In India, there's nothing like that. This has made sure that the population is growing at a rapid scale. But In my conclusion, I would like to say the government needs to ensure that some form of policies and procedures they bring into uh, people so that the government ensures that this population growth slows down.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well done. You were super fluent, Ishan. I'm going to put you back on mute and
Sure.
classmates will give
Thank
you
you so
some
much.
feedback. Well done. Thank you for sharing. That was so good. What do you guys think? Yeah, lots of praise coming through. A bit nervous. It's obviously going to happen when you're in a class like this. You can't see other people. I think you did so well. You gave great little introductions there. You said, well, in my country. Yeah, well done. Someone said repetition of words. I didn't notice that too much, but perhaps there was when you listen back. What about vocab? What did you guys catch? Yeah, I agree, Samir. You sounded quite calm. You sounded very confident. Yeah, great. Crisis, overpopulation. Yeah, good job. Good grammar too. Yeah, I agree. So I was listening, I was trying to catch some grammatical errors and honestly, I couldn't hear any, I'm afraid, but that's great. All right, does anyone else want to have a go? Got time to do one more. Let's see. How about you, Dorothy? Ciao, Dorothy. I'm going to unmute you. Sorry, I can't do everybody. Make sure you come to the classes later in the week to have another go. So Dorothy, I'm just going to unmute you now.
Hi. Nice to chat to you, Alex.
You too. I've seen your name so many times. It's nice to hear your voice.
Thank you so much. I'm quite nervous. I hope I can do it well.
Shall I ask you the same two questions to make it a bit easier? All right, let's do that. Okay, so let's start. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country?
In Hong Kong, the environmental problems are quite serious. The main concern is air pollution because it is overcrowded in Hong Kong. The population density is very high and the usage of motor vehicles are not restricted by the government. Therefore, the environmental problems in Hong Kong is quite the major issues of our country.
And do you
Besides
think, sorry, do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems?
Unfortunately, I don't think the government is doing enough to fix this problem. Because I think that they can do much more. For example, there is no policy for reducing the rubbish, reducing the amount of rubbish and the usage of vehicle, as well as the recycling policy are not so much. It's not so much encouraged in Hong Kong. The gas emission in Hong Kong is another problems of our environmental problem. So I think that the government should minimize or let's say set out some taxation or environmental policy to make the environment more greenery.
Great, thank you, Dorothy. Well done. You're also very fluent. Thank you for that. I'm going to put you on mute and we'll give you some feedback in the chat box.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good on you. All right. What do you guys think? She did really well too. So that second one in the real test, I would have cut you off there. You can see in both cases, I interrupted the speakers and that is totally normal. The examiner will do that all the time. So if your answer, is very long, the examiner wants to like push you with another question. So don't worry about being interrupted. Yeah, great collocations, population density. Careful with the S at the end of your words, Dorothy, these problems. And also watch pronunciation of vehicle with a V, vehicle. Jay said, can you ask the examiner, please let me finish? No, I wouldn't do that. just kind of stop and let them ask again. Being interrupted will not reduce your score. And when you're face to face, you can get the feeling like the examiner is ready to interrupt you. So just let them do it. The examiner is just trying to move things forward. The examiner is trying to give you opportunities to answer a variety of questions. So it's not that you're doing anything wrong. All right. So well done. Sorry, guys, I can't catch anybody else, but there are more opportunities later in the week. We have 2 more speaking classes coming up, and I'm going to show you some other ways that you can get feedback as well. Okay, so let's look at that. More speaking help. So first of all, e2language.com is where you're going to find all of these things. Number 1, I just want to recommend to you guys, use the course material. So inside this button, course, academic or general, whatever, go to the speaking section and you can practice part 1, part 2, and part 3. There are videos, there are voice recorders, there are sample answers. All of the methods are in there, so make sure you use them. Second thing, come to the speaking live class. So we have it on Fridays every week, and this week we have an extra one in the middle of the week as well. Friday's class is also free this week, so for all you guys who are free members, you can join in and have a chance to speak on the microphone as well with Graham. Number 3 recommendation is to join a small group class. Have any of you already done this? This is a great way to get feedback, and it's pretty affordable too. Great, so some of you have already done it. That's excellent. Maybe you can share your experience. So it's $19 per class, maximum 5 students. One awesome E2 teacher is there. This one you can, if you're a free member or a paid member, it doesn't matter. You can join a class because it's an add-on. So Maputo, you can join that, the small group classes. You get lots of feedback in the session, lots of time to talk. You have your camera, your microphone on, so quite different to a live class. There's a button on your menu, the blue menu. The button says group classes. You can find and register there. What are we up to? Number 4, if you have bronze, silver, or gold packages or the power package, in your feedback section, you can record a 2-minute speech and submit that for feedback. You'll get scores and feedback from your teachers. 5th thing to boost your score is work one-on-one with the teacher. So live class like this, many students, 1 teacher. Small group class, 5 students, 1 teacher. Tutorials, you and your teacher, one-on-one, 45 minutes. This comes with bronze, silver, and gold packages. Or you can add on a tutorial, and you can also add on 20-minute speaking intensive sessions through this button here, E2 Plus Extras. So have a look at that if you want a bit more personal attention. And lastly, we have the mock test, the full computer-delivered IELTS test, listening, reading, writing, speaking. In that speaking test, it's one-on-one via Zoom with your teacher. You get scores and feedback and all that good stuff. Advice, links, corrections. So mock test sits here, also part of bronze, silver, and gold packages. Now, for those of you who are on YouTube and those of you who are here in the chat box, I'm going to share something with you, just a link. So if you want to, there we go. So I'm just going to share a link where you can download some practice. All right, so those of you here on Zoom, I've just put a link into the chat box there. And if you are on YouTube, try this. We just added it. If you type 20 topics now, a link should appear. I'll check it. If you're on Zoom, just grab it from the chat box for me and check that it's working. And YouTube people, type 20 topics. Let's see if it works. So basically that takes you to a blog post. On that blog post, you can download a PDF, and there are 20 different speaking topics. You can practice by yourself, record yourself. You can practice with a friend. You can practice in a tutorial with your teacher if you want. Lots of ways to do it. Also on that blog page, you can spin the wheel and sort of practice that way. Okay, so those are the 6 ways that you can boost your score. Use the self-access material. Come to the Speaking Live classes. Now, these 2 things are included in every package with E2. So our cheapest one is $44. So you can grab that and you have 6 months access to everything, all of the course materials, all of the live classes, the class recordings too. And then there's a bit of add-on stuff here. So the group classes, speaking feedback, one-on-one speaking, and the mock test. Lots and lots to do. If you need help getting started on E2, remember I said there's a new member welcome coming up in about 1 hour and 20 minutes with me. So register for that on e2language.com via the calendar as well. And that is the end of our session. And I'm a little bit late, sorry. So I'm going to stop the YouTube stream. Thank you if you're watching on YouTube. Come along to e2language.com next time and we can study together. And for those of you on Zoom, I'll stay online just a couple of minutes and answer your questions here. Okay, and sorry guys, I won't be able to answer everything, but I'll see if I can help. Most of your questions, if you email hello@e2language.com, we can help you there. Artie, if you go off topic in the speaking, doesn't matter too much, but remember fluency and coherence idea, development of your idea is part of it at those higher levels. Nirali, you were 8778, you want to boost your score. What were your 7s in, Nirali? So Rajat, to go from 6.5 to 7, go into the course and have a look at the video about the marking criteria. Using big words or magic words is not important, but using topic-specific words is important. How to maintain fluency while speaking, practice a lot before the test. That's an easy way. The link again, yes, there it is. Just try that. So when you get that link, you need to put in your email and then you can download the PDF that way. All right, cool. All right, so just remember, I'll put it up again. Here's the live class schedule. So coming up is the new member welcome. For other questions about your packages or E2, come along to that. I'll try to answer more of them there. Speaking, there's one on Wednesday and the other one is on Friday. So try to join one of those. Friday's speaking class is free this week. So if you're a free member, register for that one. And if you're a paid member, you can come to all of these and you can also watch the recordings as well. All right, thank you guys. Sorry, we're a little bit over time. I'll see you soon in the new member welcome if you are a new member. Otherwise, I'll see you later in the week in some of our other live classes. Thank you for joining me. I hope that was useful and I'll see you again really soon. Thank you guys. Bye for now.